Hey everyone, Brie Sodano here, personal finance expert, founder of From Sheep to Shark, inventor of the invisible system, and sharkschool.online. Today, what I want to talk about is financial erosion. So I guess I will start with just like defining it, and then we're going to get into how to avoid financial erosion. So if this is your first time ever catching me live, please say hello. And I'm on StreamYard, so tell me your name in the comments because I just see that it's a user, so that way I could say hi. And if you're someone who watches all the time, please say hello. And that's it. And if you feel like financial erosion is a hot topic for somebody that you know, please feel free to tag them in this or to share this. Or if you just find it super valuable, please feel free to do that. All right. So financial erosion is an idea that I started to really see happening with people. So most of the time, the root cause for someone having a financial erosion is that they want to pay off their debt. That's generally why someone would do this, right? Now, financial erosion is the process of you're basically eroding the money that you've put into your house, your investments, sometimes stock options, sometimes like plans through work. A lot of employers have stock, not necessarily stock options, but stock buying programs. Or your retirement accounts. And then you're going to take that money and you're going to use it for other things. And so most of the time, the reason why people do that is because their debt becomes so overwhelming that they take the money out of these accounts. And so in the moment, that will usually feel better because it changes your cash flow situation. So it gives you more relief in the present moment to do that. But what it really does is then you've taken all the money out of your future and you put it into your past. And so even though that momentarily does feel better, it's generally not the best solution. Sometimes it has to be done. Honestly, like there are times where I'm working with a client and we're like, all right, well, if you don't want to do bankruptcy, we're going to borrow the money out of your 401k and we're going to come up with a plan. We're going to do something differently. So that's the idea of financial erosion. So the main two types of financial erosion that I really see is people spending money from their retirement accounts and people taking the equity out of their houses, whether or not they're refinancing or they're taking out a home equity loan. Those are the two main things, although there's others. So what I want to explain is a different way to look at money in terms of time and how to focus and balance. So look, we're going to start in one place and then we're going to get to all that stuff I just said. So there's three different savings habits that you really need to have good financial strength. Planting, preparing, pleasure. Planting, preparing, pleasure. All three are very important. So planting is like, it's going to be retirement. It doesn't have to be that, but planting is money that that's going to work for you, money that's becoming your employee, money that is for your future in some way, shape, or form. So it could be you're saving to buy an investment property, or it could be you're putting the money in your 401k, or just in investments for the future. It doesn't matter, right? So there's that. Then you need money to be prepared. So if you take the invisible system to stop bleeding money and start stacking cash, which I would highly suggest, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go to sharkschool.online to get it. That program, that course that I created, shows you how to calculate for what I call working capital. This is the money to be prepared. So this is going to be, hey, twice a year my car taxes come. I should probably be prepared for that. Hey, I live in New England. It gets cold here. I'm going to need to spend a couple $1,000s on heating oil. Hey, my brother's getting married this year. I'm going to need to buy a dress and a tux and a gift and a hotel. Hey, I get my hair done every other month, but it's a couple $100 when I go. You start to think about the things that catch you off guard. I've talked to a lot of people about money for a long time, and very rarely is someone's financial emergency an actual emergency. Most of the time, it's just unprepared for. One time somebody was like, well, I needed to buy this dress. You had a financial emergency that a dress was going to solve? No, you were unprepared. You knew your best friend was getting married for the last 6 months. You need a $200 dress. This is not an emergency, right? So, but it feels like an emergency. So like I say that, it's easy for me to be like, not an emergency. But when you're in this situation, it really feels like you can't catch your breath. It feels like you can't get caught up. It feels like every time you finally get your feet on solid ground, the world comes and gives you a little smack on the face and was like, ha ha, snow tires, biatch. And you're like, oh, I just finished putting oil in my tank. Why would this terrible thing happen to me? So being prepared is the most critical thing that will keep you out of debt. And so for my life, that's about almost $1,500 a month is what it's not just save. It's an ebb and a flow. It's an account that money is going to go into, it's going to come out of. Like in the end of August and September, there's a lot of outflow in my life. I got kids that go back to school. I fill my oil tank. I get wood for my wood burning furnace. We live in Connecticut, it's cold here. So there's a lot of outflow that needs to happen at that part of the year. There's other months where there's hardly any extra outflow. So being prepared is the main critical thing between having money and having debt. If you know how to save money to be prepared, if you can tolerate having your money in your bank account for about 12 months, it's just a slower ebb and flow. The money's going to go in, it's going to go in, it's going to come out. That is a really critical piece to having a good financial health. Then the third thing is pleasure. And the reason why this is so important is because as you're deciding what to do with your money, you have your conscious part of your brain, you have your subconscious part of your brain. The conscious part of your brain can write a spreadsheet. It's read a book. You might have gone to college to educate this part of your brain. The subconscious part of your brain, main idea every single day is, I want to stay alive. How am I going to do that? And I would like to have some sex today and maybe a chicken wing. But this part of your brain, it manages your body, right? I'm doing this right now. That's not my conscious brain. That's my subconscious brain. My emotions, right now, I'm excited. I'm excited to be talking to you. Subconscious is handling that. And so when you say to yourself, I want to save $10,000 in my bank account by the end of the year, that is a boring goal for your subconscious brain. Your subconscious brain is like, wait, you want to forego mozzarella sticks and going to the movies this weekend for paper in a bank account that we can't touch? That doesn't even compute to your subconscious brain. Your subconscious brain doesn't even make sense. That's why most people come up with a budget, they make a plan, and then it goes to absolute crap. It's because telling your money where you want it to go is only half of the equation. You have to know where the money was going, so that way you can redirect it. The money that you have was already going somewhere. So you have to say, this money needs to stop going to takeout and start going to my savings account. That's why most people's budgets fail, is because they only look at where they want their money to go. They don't look at where it's going to come from. They don't make the trade. So this is why having a pleasure account is so critically important, because when you start to save money for things that are big and important to you, the choice becomes much more clear. So if I was to say to you, do you want to have paper in your bank account, or do you want to take your family to Disney next summer or next winter, whatever? The choice becomes different for your brain. Your subconscious brain can see, like, your subconscious brain speaks in pictures, basically. So you can imagine going to Disney. You can imagine the rides. You can imagine the smell of cotton candy and roasting cinnamon covered nuts or whatever. And you can imagine how much fun your kids are going to have. You can imagine how much fun you're going to have. That's a whole different level of choice for your subconscious brain than having a random abstract number in your bank account for really no reason. So if you have a goal to put money in your bank account with no purpose, you're going to have a very difficult time achieving that goal, because your brain's got nothing really juicy to grab onto. So setting yourself up to have pleasure in your life and to use your money to have the life that you want is really, really important, because it gives your brain the purpose as to why you're doing this. Being prepared is very important, but it's not all that exciting. It will lower your stress. you will feel more in control. Like you will get away from a lot of the pain that comes from money by being prepared. And for most people, that's the starting place. That's what really needs to happen. And then you want to start to have money set aside for pleasure, so that way it's not just this boring neutral place. Like you're getting to what it is that you actually really want. And so financial erosion happens when we only are planting for the future. So when all of our savings account is in these untouchable retirement accounts, stock options through work, investment programs, real estate or whatever else, like, well, if we're still unprepared, if all your money is tied up in these accounts that you're not supposed to be touching, and then all of a sudden your car needs, $2,000 of repairs, that's either where that's generally where you're going to get into credit card debt. Now, what I see happening is that a small amount of credit card debt's really no problem. Even a moderate amount of credit card debt, you can handle the payments. The problem starts to happen when the payments for the credit cards become so substantial that it pinches you in the present. So when you're so unprepared for the future that the present has you borrowing money, then after like a while, those payments start to add up. Now, generally, the first thing people do is they go for a 0% balance transfer. And then they've done that a time or two, and now they maybe can't get any more. Their credit's maxed out. So then they take out a personal loan. Then they maybe borrow from their 401k. Then they're looking at home equity loans. So the thing about that is, if that's a pattern that's going on for you, the thing is, and this is, the further you are along that path, the harder this advice is to follow. But I'm telling you, the thing that needs to happen is you need to learn to be prepared, because then you can have money, and then you don't need money. Like the debt happens when you need the money. The debt happens when you need the car repair and you don't have any money. So then you need the money. So then you borrow the money. And financial timing is different than like your health goals or other goals, because money moves at a different kind of pace when you're building habits. Like, people say it takes, 27 days to build a habit. Not in your financial life. It may take 27 paychecks to build a good savings habit, and you're going to fall off and it's not going to be perfect. But that preparation is what's really, really critically important. So having those three sorts of savings helps to stop doing that, because financial erosion, it's when you're like, if you were to think about your money, your financial life in terms of present moment, like what do I need today? What do I need today? Then you get your future, and it's like, all right, well, one day I don't want to have to work. One day I want to retire. One day I want 2 houses. I want a house on the beach. I want this, I want that. Then you have your past, and that's going to be where all your debt is, because now your money is going to things that have already passed for you, your debt, right? And those things generally are going to also come at an added expense of interest. So what you need to do, this is a little ethereal, it's a little woo-woo, but just bear with me. What you need to do is expand your present moment out from the week or the month to the year. So that way you can start to be prepared. Because if you're constantly with your face in the direction towards your debt, if all of your extra money goes towards paying off your debt, if you're worried about paying off your debt, your student loans freak you out, your credit cards make you feel like you're drowning. These are emotions. This is not real. I mean, emotions are very real, but the situation, like, you can choose to feel differently about the situation, I guess is what I'm getting at. So if all of your focus is in this direction, the future is coming in towards you this way. So you got expenses coming in from this side, and that's why people feel like they can never get caught up. They can never get caught up. They're like, Brie, every single time I think I'm caught up, I get another big expense. Some emergency happens. It's because you had your back against the future. You absolutely were not paying attention to what was coming your way. You had all of your cash flow directed toward the past. So then your present moment is constantly unprepared for. So then the future comes, and instead of being joyful, it just smacks you in the face. And then if you only have the one savings habit, then you start to see that you have your debt is growing, because you're constantly unprepared. And then you're like, all right, well, I'll just take a 401k loan. I'll just take oh, I'm switching jobs. There's only 20 grand in that 401k anyway. So I'll use it. I'll take the 20 grand and I'll pay off I'll pay off some of the debt, or I'll pay off the debt, or hey, it's looking like we have some equity in the house. I will do a refinance. We'll pay off all this debt. But now instead of having a nest egg, now instead of having an asset in your house, instead of having assets in your retirement accounts, and then you still have the same old habits because you didn't change anything. You just eroded your financial situation. So the way to get out of this, the way to break these patterns is to have the 3 savings accounts. And what that really requires that you start with is looking to see where your money's been going, because saying that you want to save is cute. That's a cute idea. That's nice. But if you don't know where the money is going to come from to be able to do it, what you're going to do is put the money in your bank account and then transfer it out at the end of the paycheck period when your bank account's empty, because you didn't change the things that needed to change for the money to be able to stay in savings. So when you're trying to redirect money, the first thing that needs to happen is you need to know where the money was going, where you don't want it to be going anymore. So that way you can know where the money is going to go and you can put it where you want. But if you just say, all right, well, I want to go to Disney, I'm going to start putting money aside, but you don't change any of the places that the money's been going that you don't want it to go anymore, it's not going to work. Right? So, I guess the takeaways from this are the 2 main takeaways that you want to take away is you want to think about how much time and energy am I focusing my financial attention to the present moment? How much am I focusing towards the future? And how much am I focusing it towards the past? And really the thing that you want is, first, you want to expand your idea of the present moment to include a 12-month period. 12 months, if you can start to see what you need for 12 months, that's a really good first move. Then you want to be a little bit toward the future. Now, people who put all of their money toward the future and have no present moment, their lives suck. They're boring. They don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. And I'll tell you what happens to that money is it becomes more and more painful to use. The money stagnates. It comes financially constipated. And the longer your money stagnates and becomes like old and crusty, the more and more painful it is to spend it when the time comes. What's interesting is even if that money is inherited, the pain of it gets inherited too. And basically it comes because nothing in the present moment, nothing in your actual life was ever good enough to spend your money on. And then that kind of perpetuates itself. It's a rather unfortunate place to be honest. So you need some of your money to be going toward the future and most of your money to be going toward the present and in that preparation. And if you have debt, you have to pay it off, right? Like you're going to pay it off. But the thing is you don't want to be so focused on hurrying up to do that you can't be prepared. So one of the main things I tell people to do, my clients to do, is the first thing to do if you want to get out of debt is to stop using your cards. Put them in the freezer. Stop using them. And just get used to working with what you're working with. Because for some people, if you're overspending by $1,000 a month, if you watch that credit card balance go up and up and up, that's a big adjustment. It's already a lot of progress to just stop using it. Then you want to let that settle down for a minute. You want to get used to it. You want to say, all right, well, money comes in, money goes out. You want to get used to the different ebbs and flows. Then you want to start building for savings. Then once you're starting to build for savings, once you have those 3 savings habits in place, at least a solid, once you start seeing your working capital account build, then that's the time to start focusing some money towards the debt, because then you're used to having money. Then you can have the money. And then when the future comes and you have to write a check for something, then you're not having to borrow from it because you have the money in place. So I don't know. So those are my takeaways from today. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. I see that some of you guys are there. Cynthia, hi, thanks for watching. And Carrie, thank you for watching. And Jenna Harris. All right. So I appreciate you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.